and welcome back to the Smoky Haze that is the Daily Wrap.
It's do that, Joe.
potluck time, I know. I really should quit. This is the part of the show where we go around the table and share our favorite stories of the day, and usually we go right to left, but we're going to go in the middle this time because Heather Hansen, I heard you're one hell of a chef.
I am not really, at all. But I do have an interesting potluck. Mayor de Blasio has now decided that he wants to grant Muslims the 2 holidays where they will have school off, just as we have some Christian holidays off and some Jewish holidays off. And personally, I think that it is a stretch. When you start extending days off, and I absolutely think that Muslims should be given the opportunity to celebrate their holiday, to stay home from school on their holidays, as should every other religion, including Hindu, Buddhist, everything. But to start giving all of the kids those days off, in response, you have the selectmen, I think, from Chinatown area saying, well, we want the Lunar New Year off. You have some of the Hindu population of this school saying that they want their holidays off. Kids have got to go to school, and I think that that's why Bloomberg didn't allow some of these holidays, because it was more important for the children to be in school. So I think that this is a bit of a stretch, and I know you disagree, Rick. I can tell.
Not necessarily.
You make it so easy for the host.
I
don't even have to
I'll just tell you where I'm going to be, right?
Just take it away.
When I was a boy, back in the Civil War era, Christian holidays, everybody got off. Jewish holidays, we did not get off. The Jewish kids would take the day off, and school went forward. Here we are all those many years later, and certainly in this city, Jewish holidays closed the entire school too. I think many of us would view that as progress. Why not the same for Muslim kids?
Well, first of all, I think we should also look at the percentage of students that are attending, Muslim students, as well as the teachers, because there are a large number of Jewish students attending New York City public schools, as well as the faculty. Right. So I think that was taken into consideration.
What's your cutoff point?
I don't know, but if we're looking at as Heather had said, giving Muslims holidays, then we need to look at other religions,
Chinese New
and
Year,
other backgrounds.
Right.
Well,
For instance, Catholics don't get off Holy Thursday, which is a holy day of obligation, as well as Immaculate Conception. We don't get that off.
You see the obvious logic problem. Who got to decide that? Well, there's enough Jews; they hit that level that will close down the schools for the Jewish holiday.
I think it was the teachers'
society.
No, it's not a Judeo-Christian society. I hate when people say it. It's America. You can be any religion you want. Our Constitution says so.
I agree with that 100%.
And
you should
I want to know who creates the cutoff.
I think it was the teachers' unions. I used to work in New York City public schools, and I remember when they did not give off holidays,
right.
Jewish holidays.
But we do now.
And the teachers' unions really pushed for that. Teachers were in an uproar that they had to take a personal day.
So the decision is when the union says so.
You're
good with that.
No.
Can we get that down on? Are we videoing this? Because we just heard her say that the teachers' union should decide all these important things.
I think it has to do with the percentages. And when you're talking about 10%, then you're now talking about...
What's the cutoff?
What's the cutoff of school days missed?
No, I'm just saying, what's your cutoff for when you should and shouldn't? Well, yes, you do. We know it's not 10%, apparently.
Well, it's definitely not 10%.
What is
and I think that it is... there are certain holidays that are recognized, national holidays that are established and recognized. As far as
Rosh Hashanah a national holiday?
I don't know that all schools get those holidays off.
I think in New York City they do, but everybody generally knows the Jewish New Year, and I'm not sure I know.
I do. I know those 2 holidays.
The 2 holidays I've heard of, but I couldn't tell you what goes on with those.
I could. So therefore, since I can, and I know what Rosh Hashanah is, I just want to know what the cutoff is.
We need to
What's
take
the cutoff? What do you say?
What is the cutoff?
Yeah.
Arbor Day. Everybody should get off Arbor Day. Oh. What is the cutoff?
Yeah, well, how do you decide at what percentage do you have to have a certain religion in school to decide, okay, we'll give everybody the day off? Obviously, according to Heather, 10% is not enough.
No,
what do you say?
I say we have to move on in this segment.
Oh, you got it.
Because Lisa has 90 seconds now. It's happened again.
No.
This is an appetizer. It's not even a dinner anymore. Go.
Did the media create this whole issue of racism between these 2 high schools in New Jersey? There was a Holy Spirit, a Catholic high school, has a fierce and friendly rivalry with Atlantic City High School. And what they did was the students dressed up. They were basically emulating what Arizona State University did a couple of years ago. And when they were trying to distract during the foul shots, they were trying to distract the opposite team. And what they did was they dressed up in various costumes, which were like a banana, a monkey. I think it was the senior class president put on a ballerina tutu. However, people, particularly in the media, USA Today, they said this was shocking, that students did this and they didn't get punished.
What do you say?
I say that it is absolutely wrong that the media was trying to push an agenda and play the race card. And
I agree with you 100%. And I think the students are young enough that they don't know the difference. And they didn't even occur to them until the media put
there was
those
no
words in their
objection.
mouth.
We all agree.
So, wow. That was pretty easy.
I concur as well.
I concur.
Yes, well done. And by the way, the cutoff number that you wanted before?
Yes.
18%.
There we go.
Okay, now we know.
Okay.
Now we know what it is.
We have to take a quick break, but don't worry. When we come back, we'll have even more potluck for you, including my own, if Rick leaves me time. He did last time, though. This is the Daily Wrap only on Newsmax TV. Welcome back to Daily Wrap. I'm your host, Joe Concha, and if you're just joining us, we're in the middle of our potluck, where we share our favorite stories of the day. Rick Unger, what are you serving up?
Fascinating meme that kind of got going today in reaction to the Justice Department's report that came out yesterday on Ferguson. The argument being that, no, you can't lay what took place in Ferguson on the police department or their prior behavior. It was all about Al Sharpton. Now, anybody who watches this show knows that there's nobody who enjoys trashing Al Sharpton as much as me. I think Al Sharpton did play a role in what happened in Ferguson, and certainly not a positive role. But to use that to avoid what we learned in this report yesterday really, really bothered me. So I guess the question that I'm asking for people to consider, do you really think that they're mutually exclusive? Does it have to be either this was all Al Sharpton or it was the police department, or didn't they both play a role? Al Sharpton has now left Ferguson, thank goodness for Ferguson, but the police are still there, and can we really allow what's been going on there to keep going?
Why don't you educate the folks at home what we
In
learned?
terms of what we learned, well, first of all, we got to see a series of emails, and if you really want to learn, read my column today at Forbes.com, because I get into it fairly explicitly, but we also saw some statistics that were disturbing. For instance, they're pulling over nearly twice as many black people when they pull you over in a car situation, and yet when they search people, they're finding out that there were 25% more white people who actually had something illegal on them than black people, but black people were getting searched dramatically more times than white people. That is a sure sign that something is amiss.
You know,
Profiling clearly was going on, but then again, who's responsible for most of the crimes? What is the contrarian argument there?
right. Well, and I've got to say, first off, that when you read the emails, it is absolutely horrifying,
Yes.
and there's a big problem there, and I think that the police department has to be taken apart and put back together from the very scratch, and I agree with you on all of that. The disparate impact claims, when you talk about the statistics, it concerns me because statistics can be bent, and there are statistics that may explain some of this information. So that's worrisome. But my biggest concern is the hit back towards policemen. Because when we start talking about policemen in general, you know, there was an article in the LA Times this week about less lethal weapons, giving police less lethal weapons so that they can't kill civilians. That is putting our policemen in danger.
Yeah, I agree
you know,
with
in
you.
Philadelphia today, one of our police officers was shot in the head. And so when you read these and you hear about this, I agree with your point, and I do think there's a problem in Ferguson, but our policemen and women need our support. And my concern is that this report is making a lot of people think that they have the right to attack.
Not only do I agree with what you just said, I actually said it in the article. We can't blame all of our men and women in blue for something that happened in Ferguson, and I hate to think of our life without our police officers, so let's not...
Right, and Rick, I agree with what you had said initially. I think with Ferguson, I think both the police department as well as Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton, we know, did use it for his own purposes, and he loves to fan the fire. He loves that opportunity. That being said, there is an issue in Ferguson. But what happened, and any time a law enforcement officer uses force, it needs to be investigated. What happened in this situation was the officer using to his best judgment needed to be done.
I've never criticized that.
And so that needs to be looked at as well. And I think when we look at it also with, you mentioned Philadelphia, what's happening in New York City, the same thing is happening where the police are given, having to do with less and giving more rights to
Potential criminals.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
I was trying to get the study up, but then I just realized that we don't have a whole segment to talk about this, unfortunately. But that was excellent, though, Rick. Thank you so much. So, switching gears almost completely, a new study out today that says, wow, what a shock, men are more narcissistic than women. Now, I was surprised by this because I know whenever my wife and I go out, basically I jump in the shower first and I'm ready in 7.2 minutes, okay? Because this hair never changes. It hasn't since I've been 21 years old. I lay out my clothes beforehand. It's jeans and usually a button-down shirt, regardless of where we're going, and I'm done. And that's it. I don't look at myself in the mirror again. It's over. She takes, I don't know, 90 to 114 minutes, because the hair has to be straightened and all that. Now, that said, Mr. Unger, then I thought about it, and maybe men, while we don't take as long to get ready, we will check ourselves out a lot more. And that it reminded me of a movie 25 years ago with an actor you may recognize.
You look fine.
I didn't ask.
Tremendous. And Jack Nicholson. That was 26 years ago, actually. It was the summer of 1989. Anyway, we're going to do a lightning round here really quick because we only have 30 seconds, which really means 20.
Oh.
Are men more narcissistic than women?
I don't think so, no.
Heather?
I think it depends on the man and the woman.
Interesting.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh,
What in the world
you
is
do
this
before
study?
every show.
What
Yeah.
a ridiculous study.
Okay, so let's share. Obviously, that's an inside joke. I make sure that my tie is straight. There's nothing more annoying than seeing somebody on national television that has a crooked tie. So I just want to look good for you guys at home. But it's not because, okay, yeah, I'm a narcissist. Who are we kidding? Yay or nay is next. This is the Daily Wrap only on Newsmax TV.